Oxfam South Africa's Nkateko Chauke joins us now for reaction. Nkateko, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks very much for your time. No surprises really, but your overall reaction.
Great. Thank you for having me, Vuyo. Vuyo, I cannot underscore enough just how gendered job losses reveal deep structural inequality in South Africa, particularly in South Africa's labor market. And I just want to start off by highlighting that a feminist economic lens is essential in understanding these patterns. The quarterly labor force survey shows that so-called recovery policies continue to ignore the foundational role of reproductive and care labor. Without targeted investments in the care infrastructure, social protection, and labor rights for informal workers, women will remain trapped in a cycle of economic marginalization. And why do I say this? And as Oxfam, we've been interrogating the issues around gender job losses and care work for quite some time. And looking at the results from the quarterly labor force survey, particularly for Q1, reveals a stark and troubling reality. That is, women bore the brunt of job losses, accounting for 77% of total employment decline, despite making up only 44% of the employment population in South Africa. Now, just looking at those statistics alone just tells us a very deep story. And while total employment fell by 291,000, women lost for jobs accounts for 223,000, compared to just men who experienced 67,000 job losses. And over the past year, men recorded a net employment gain of 106,000, while women experienced a net loss of 60,000 jobs. The scales are skewed here, Vuyo, and this disparity is not incidental. Women are disproportionately concentrated in sectors hardest hit by job cuts, that is, private households, trade, and agriculture, while men dominate more resilient and growing sectors like transport, construction, and finance. So the data paints a clear picture here for us that South Africa's labor market continues to treat women as expendable.
All this happens, on the back of an economy that supposedly, did, but expand by 0.6% last year. Again, something that reminds us that we shouldn't, it's moments like these, I suppose, that remind us that we shouldn't celebrate these minor achievements, because, as you say, without those targeted interventions, there is very little. We can talk, beyond women, for example, talk about young people who are, whose situation is a ticking time bomb. We keep on being reminded. I think the big question is whether anyone cares or something is in fact being done.
Well, absolutely. If you look at the state of play right now, is we're not seeing signs of recovery. In fact, what we're seeing is regression, with a whole survey demonstrating to us that, women, young people are affected by economic decline, but also opportunities that are continuously closing for them to participate meaningfully in economic activity. So what we see is that it reflects a labor market and a broad economic system that systematically undervalues women, young people as well, but especially the care economy, which is underreported and undercovered. And so in light of these structural inequalities that we're seeing, the government's economic policy response, as we have it right now, has been limited and pretty much reactive. And so looking at the current social support system, such as the 350 SRD grant, is that there are serious inadequacies, especially for women in informal or seasonal employment, particularly also young people who often do not qualify for assistance. By not recognizing that women and young people's employment and economic vulnerabilities are systemic issues, the state overlooks a vital opportunity to reshape the economy to promote inclusion, dignity, and equity. And from my side, Vuyo, is that there are two urgent responses that are necessary to tackle these issues. The first being implementing a universal basic income grant, for example. This is essential because if you look at implementing a universal basic income grant program of at least 1,558 rands per month would provide financial security for women, for youth, who are excluded from the formal economy. This support would equally reduce their dependence on exploitative work or relationships and partly compensate them for their daily unpaid care. Also, this would not only act as a redistributive mechanism, but also serve as a feminist intervention. As Oxfam, we talk about feminist principles, understanding that we have to have pro-people, pro-development policies that directly address gendered economic inequality. And second is that we need to look at a serious and sustained investment in the care economy. I mentioned earlier on that it's underreported, it's undercovered, and this investment should recognize and protect and also pay for the work already being done by women in sustaining society. So public funding for care infrastructure such as childcare, elder care, health, and social services would create decent jobs and support women broadly to participate in the labor market. These issues are not only interconnected. The rate of unemployment, particularly for women and youth, is shocking in the country. And so the gender pay gap and the overrepresentation of women in the informal and unpaid care work are all signs of an economy that is both gender blind as well as gender unequal.
Nkateko, Chauke, one hopes that someone out there is indeed listening, especially to those interventions that you are talking about. Is Oxfam South Africa's representative, of course, speaking here on the back of that report given by Statistics South Africa today, that where 8.2 million people are now without work in South Africa, revealing that unemployment rate has increased by a percentage point from 31.9% to 32.9%.